The Great Brink's Robbery. Part 1.
The Great Brink's Robbery was an armed robbery of the Brink's building at the east corner of Prince Street and Commercial Street in the north end of Boston, Massachusetts, on January 17, 1950. Today, the building is a parking garage. The $2.7 million theft, or $31.3 million in today's money, consisted of $1.2 million in cash and $1.5 million in checks, money orders, and other securities. It was then the largest robbery in the history of the United States, and it remained so until 1984. The robbery, skillfully executed with few clues left at the crime, was billed as the crime of the century. It was the work of an 11-member gang, 10 of whom were later arrested. Joseph Big Joe McGinnis was the originator of the heist. According to information later learned from Joseph Specs O'Keefe, he brought in Anthony Pino and Stanley Gus Gussiora. O'Keefe and Gus secretly entered the Brink's depot. They picked the outside lock with an ice pick and the inner door with a piece of plastic. They later temporarily removed the cylinders from the 5 locks, one at a time, so that a locksmith could make duplicate keys for them. Once this was done, Pino recruited 7 other men, including Pino's brother-in-law, Vincent Costa, Michael Vincent Vinnie Geegan, Thomas Sandy Francis Richardson, Adolph Jazz Maffei, Henry Baker, James Fardy, and Joseph Banfield. The gang decided to wait for the optimal time for their heist. Pino studied schedules and was able to determine what the staff was doing based on when the lights in the building windows were on. O'Keefe and Gus stole their plans for the side alarms. The gang members entered the buildings on practice runs after the staff had left for the day. Costa monitored the depot from a room of a tenement building across Prince Street from the Brink's building. By the time they acted, the gang had planned and trained for 2 years. Stay tuned for part 2, The Heist. If it's more interesting, you can find it here. Thanks.